Have you ever noticed that the second you stop letting someone control you, they don't just walk away, they switch tactics? Manipulators don't give up. They evolve. And what they do next is dirtier, sneakier, and far more dangerous than anything they tried before. It's like a spider spinning its web while the fly pretends it's safe, or a hunter crouching in the trees, waiting for you to let your guard down. They smile and act calm, but underneath, they're scheming. Once they lose control of you, they'll try to control the story about you. This is the real test. Will you fall for it or rise above it? Because when you rise, you don't just escape. You expose everything they tried to hide. Today we're going deep into the mind games manipulators play, and how Stoic philosophy gives you the tools to stay untouchable. Stick around. What you're about to learn might just change everything. If you're ready to stay sharp and unbreakable, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it. Number 1. They try to shame you publicly. One of the dirtiest tactics manipulators use when they lose. Private control over you is public shaming. It's a move born out of desperation. When guilt trips, gaslighting, and silent treatment stop working, they escalate. They know they can no longer twist your mind behind closed doors, so they try to destroy your confidence where others can see it. Their goal is simple. If they can't control you directly, they'll try to control how others see you, hoping that the weight of public judgment will break you where private pressure couldn't. You'll recognize it, the subtle digs in meetings, the harmless jokes that land like a punch, the exaggerated sighs, the way your contributions are dismissed or ridiculed in group settings. And if you confront them, they'll brush it off with a smirk, pretending you're too sensitive, pretending it's all in good fun. But you feel the shift. You know it's not. Take, for example, a young man I once met. Let's call him Daniel. Daniel was a quiet powerhouse at his tech firm. Brilliant, but not boastful. His manager, threatened by Daniel's quiet competence, tried to control him privately, with subtle criticisms and mentoring that was more belittling than helpful. But Daniel stayed composed, refusing to internalize the manager's negativity. So the manager escalated. During team meetings, he began calling Daniel's project ideas naive or idealistic in front of everyone, laughing it off as constructive criticism. It wasn't. It was a calculated attempt to isolate Daniel, to make him doubt himself, to make the team doubt him. But Daniel didn't bite. He didn't argue or defend himself emotionally. Instead, he stayed factual, calm, and focused on the work. Over time, the cracks in the manager's mask became visible to everyone. His tactics lost their sting because Daniel refused to validate them with a reaction. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes a survival tool. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the opinion of 10,000 men is meaningless if none of them know the truth. Carl Jung understood shame as a soul-eating emotion. It only has the power you allow it to have. When someone tries to humiliate you publicly, what they're really doing is handing you a choice. Believe their narrative or stand anchored in your own truth. Manipulators prey on insecurity. If you start questioning yourself based on their attacks, you hand them exactly what they want, your peace. But if you hold firm internally, no matter how loud they get externally, you become immovable. Psychologically, manipulators fear exposure. When private manipulation fails, they go public because they're terrified others will see them for what they are, unless they shift the spotlight onto you first. But you don't have to play their game. Stoicism teaches that our control lies not in other people's actions, but in our own reactions. You defeat a public shaming attempt by refusing to absorb it. You hold your posture. You focus on your values. You understand that truth is not a popularity contest. It stands alone, even when no one claps for it. And in the end, the crowd always catches up to the truth. They see it. Even if it takes time, when shame doesn't stick to you, it turns back on the one who threw it. And that's when real strength reveals itself, not by shouting louder, but by standing so still they can't shake you. Number 2. They play the victim. One of the most manipulative tricks you'll ever face happens when someone who once controlled you realizes they've lost their grip. That's when they flip the script. They stop trying to overpower you directly and start playing the victim. Suddenly, you're no longer the person who calmly set a boundary. You're cold, selfish, the villain. They act wounded, misunderstood, even heartbroken. But make no mistake, this isn't about truth. It's a performance designed to win sympathy and to turn the people around you against you. They know they can't bend your will anymore, so now they bend the story. They'll twist your strength into cruelty and your independence into betrayal. It's not about what's real. It's about control. If they can't control you, they'll try to control how others see you. I once knew a guy, Matt, who broke away from a toxic business partnership. For years, he had carried more than his share of the work, while his partner basked in the credit. When Matt finally set firm boundaries, refusing to cover for mistakes and demanding fairness, the partner didn't argue or apologize. Instead, he went behind Matt's back, telling mutual contacts that Matt had changed, that he was disloyal, that he didn't care about anyone but himself anymore. It was a masterclass in victimhood. The goal was clear: to isolate Matt, to make others question his character, and to force him into submission through shame. But Matt didn't chase the rumors. He didn't run around explaining himself to people who were ready to believe a lie. He kept doing what he always did, delivering excellence, staying consistent, and remaining rooted in who he was. In time, the truth spoke louder than any whispered story. Those who mattered saw the pattern for what it was, and the partner's false narrative collapsed under the weight of Matt's quiet strength. Stoic philosophy shines in moments like this. Epictetus taught that he who blames others has a long way to go on his journey. It's a hard but liberating truth. People who weaponize victimhood are showing their own weakness, not yours. Stoicism doesn't teach you to control public opinion. It teaches you to control yourself, to stand unmoved while the world swirls around you. When someone twists your integrity into an accusation, the Stoic path is not to shout louder or fight dirtier. It's to let truth stand still, unbothered, unashamed. Real strength doesn't chase validation. It doesn't explain itself to people committed to misunderstanding it. Psychologically, manipulators play the victim because it buys them time and allies. But their lies are fragile. They rely on drama, your emotional reaction, your need to clear your name. When you refuse to engage, when you choose silence and calm over defense and panic, you deny them their oxygen, your real allies. We'll see you, and those who don't. They were never yours to begin with. So when you meet false victimhood, remember, it's not your job to fix their story. It's your job to stay free. The truth doesn't chase anyone. It stands and waits, and it always outlasts the noise. Number 3, they start spreading subtle lies. Have you ever noticed how when someone loses control over you, they don't always confront you openly? Instead, they move in the shadows. They begin spreading subtle lies, not outrageous, obvious ones, but small suggestive distortions designed to make others doubt you. They twist your words just enough to sound believable, drop vague comments like poison in a well, and let suspicion do the rest. They won't say you're wrong directly. They'll just hint, something feels off about them lately, and wait for others to connect the dots. This isn't an accident. It's a calculated strategy. Once they realize they can't manipulate you anymore, they switch to sabotage. They're no longer trying to control you. They're trying to control how others see you. Psychologically, this tactic plays on the human tendency to doubt what isn't defended. They know that if enough small, unanswered doubts are planted, the damage can become harder to repair. Manipulators understand that lies move faster than truth because lies ignite emotion, suspicion, anger, fear, while truth asks for patience and calm. They exploit that gap. They rely on you panicking, on you chasing rumors, exhausting yourself trying to defend every corner of your reputation. That's their real trap, not the lies themselves, but what they hope you'll do in response. This is where Stoic wisdom becomes your armor. Seneca said, "The truth is simple, lies require complication." And Mark Twain warned that a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. Together, these ideas form a simple, powerful roadmap. When lies spread, don't try to outrun them. Stand where you are, let the storm pass. Truth moves slowly, but with a strength that lies can never match. A Stoic doesn't chase every whisper. A Stoic remains rooted in clarity, in calm, in action that speaks louder than defense ever could. Imagine how many relationships, careers, and friendships could have been saved if more people understood this. You don't need to defend yourself. In every room you're not in. You don't need to set every story straight. You just need to stay consistent, strong, and clear. People who matter will see the truth, maybe not instantly, but inevitably. People who prefer the lie were never really in your corner to begin with. So when you sense the shift, when the vague comments and twisted narratives start swirling, resist the urge to correct, explain, or plead. Instead, live in a way that makes the lies look ridiculous on their own. Trust that while lies burn bright for a moment, the truth burns steady for a lifetime. The ones who thrive in shadows cannot survive in the light you create, simply by refusing to bend. Have you ever experienced someone twisting your words or spreading quiet lies behind your back? I'd love to hear how you handled it. Drop your experience in the comments below. Let's talk about it and grow stronger together. Number 4. They isolate you from others. Studies show that one of the most effective ways to break a person's spirit isn't through direct attack, it's through isolation. Manipulators understand this instinctively. When they feel their influence over you slipping, they don't always confront you head-on. Instead, they begin isolating you slowly, carefully, and subtly, without making it obvious. They don't need to lock you in a room. They simply lock you out of the social spaces you once felt safe in. A whisper here, a suggestive comment there, small things that shift how others see you. It starts subtly. Someone you were once close to seems distant. Group conversations feel different. Invitations you once received stop coming. And you're left wondering what changed, without realizing someone has been engineering that loneliness behind the scenes. The truth is brutal. Isolation is a weapon. When they can't control you directly, they try to weaken your foundation by stripping away your support system. The fewer trusted voices you hear, the more vulnerable you become to self-doubt, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. It's a psychological siege, make you feel alone, make you question yourself, make you easier to break. It's never about fairness, and it's certainly not about truth. It's about power. And for manipulators, power is survival. Take the case of a woman named Rachel, a mid-level manager at a marketing firm. Rachel was well-respected, friendly, and had built strong professional relationships over the years. But when she was promoted ahead of a colleague who believed the spot should have been his, the shift began. Slowly, he started planting quiet doubts. He'd casually mentioned to others that Rachel seemed overwhelmed, that maybe the promotion had been too much for her. He acted concerned, not accusatory, painting himself as supportive while quietly undermining her credibility. Rachel noticed it first when colleagues stopped coming to her with projects they once would have shared. Meetings became colder. Feedback grew strangely muted. She wasn't being attacked openly. She was being left out, isolated. But Rachel, whether she realized it or not, moved with the wisdom of a Stoic. She didn't panic. She didn't launch into accusations or try to defend herself in every hallway conversation. Instead, she doubled down on what had earned her that promotion: integrity, consistency, and results. She focused on doing excellent work, staying present, and maintaining professionalism even as the undercurrents grew stronger. Over time, the ET narrative her colleague tried to build crumbled, not because she fought it loudly, but because she refused to be dragged down by it. The truth in her actions outlasted the lies floating around her. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." And Machiavelli, with his darker understanding of human behavior, revealed the core of this manipulation. Control the narrative, and you control the person. Manipulators aren't just trying to ruin your reputation, they're trying to redefine your identity from the outside in. The Stoic response is not to chase every lie or explain yourself to everyone. It's to live in a way that makes the lies impossible to believe over time. Psychologically, when isolation tactics begin, the most dangerous thing you can do is internalize them, to start believing the false narrative about yourself. That's the real goal of the manipulator, not just to change how others see you, but how you see yourself. But when you remain rooted in your truth, your values, and your mission, their strategy collapses under its own weight. The people who are meant for you, the ones who truly see you, will not be swayed by quiet distortions. Isolation built on lies eventually falls apart when faced with quiet, consistent authenticity. Manipulators can try to steal your audience, but they can never steal your character, unless you hand it over. Stoicism teaches that the only thing truly within your control is yourself, your choices, your responses, your truth. And when you guard those fiercely, no amount of whispers can tear you down. If you found these insights valuable, let me know by commenting yes below. Your thoughts matter, and I'd love to hear from you. Number 5, they use guilt to make you comply. Have you ever found yourself saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no, simply because you felt guilty? Guilt is one of the most powerful emotional weapons manipulators use when they realize they can't control you through reason or open conversation. They don't confront you logically, and they certainly don't respect your boundaries. Instead, they go straight for the most vulnerable part of you, your empathy, your heart, your conscience. A few well-placed words, a sigh, a disappointed look, and suddenly you're questioning yourself, folding into compliance, not because you agree, but because you feel bad for saying no. The truth is, guilt works because you care. They know you are thoughtful, they know you want to do right by people, but instead of honoring that goodness in you, they exploit it. They twist it into a leash. They don't need to shout or threaten. A single loaded statement like, "I guess you don't care about me anymore," can trigger a spiral inside you, where you start apologizing for your needs, your dreams, even your own growth. It's emotional blackmail, a slow, corrosive pressure that makes you put yourself last until you forget what your own voice even sounds like. Psychologically, the manipulator is playing a deep game. They rely on your internal narrative of being a good person, and they weaponize it. Over time, you might find yourself trapped, overextending, overcompensating, constantly trying to prove that you're not selfish, not cold, not ungrateful. They don't even have to ask directly anymore. Your own fear of disappointing them does the work for them. But ask yourself, if someone truly valued you, would they force you to sacrifice your peace just to maintain their comfort? This is where Stoic philosophy offers a powerful lifeline. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom begins when you realize that guilt, when manufactured by others, is not a reflection of wrongdoing, it's a tool of control. Another timeless insight reminds us, guilt is a weapon used by those too weak to lead, yet too afraid to be left behind. In other words, when they can't inspire loyalty through honesty and respect, they try to cling to it through shame. I remember a young man named Chris who faced this exact dynamic. After years of quietly accepting every demand from his family, every weekend plan, every financial favor, he finally decided to prioritize his own future by moving across the country for a career opportunity. His phone filled not with congratulations, but with guilt-tripping messages, subtle accusations of abandonment, and exaggerated reminders of everything done for him. For a time, Chris felt crushed under the weight of it. But one night, he paused and asked himself, if the love was real, why did it feel like a chain around my neck? That moment of clarity changed everything. He stopped making decisions out of guilt and started choosing from self-respect. He didn't respond with anger. He didn't get pulled into arguments. He simply lived differently, with boundaries, with freedom, with a kind of quiet strength that no amount of guilt could dismantle. This is the Stoic way. You don't fight guilt with guilt. You don't justify yourself to people determined to misunderstand you. You recognize the emotional trap. You pause, and you act not from fear but from clarity. When someone uses guilt to manipulate you, remember, setting boundaries is not betrayal. It is wisdom. It is survival. And those who truly love you will never make you feel guilty for taking care of your own soul. Number 6, they try to destroy your confidence. Have you ever noticed how, over time, you start doubting yourself around certain people, second-guessing your choices, hesitating where you used to move with certainty? It's not random. When manipulators realize they can no longer control you openly, they pivot to something far more damaging. They try to destroy your confidence. It's not loud or obvious. It comes in quiet cuts, small jabs, loaded questions, and concern that feels more like criticism. It's never about one comment. It's a slow drip meant to chip away at how you see yourself. Because if they can't control your decisions directly, they'll try to make you too unsure to stand on your own. The attack is systematic. A sarcastic remark about your promotion, a skeptical look when you share your new idea, a backhanded compliment when you celebrate a personal win. At first you brush it off, but then you start wondering, maybe you're missing something. Maybe you're not as capable as you thought. The manipulator is counting on that. Their goal isn't to defeat you in one blow, it's to wear you down over time until one day you're frozen, afraid to trust your own instincts. Psychologically, this tactic works because it hijacks your internal voice. Instead of hearing your own confidence, you start replaying their doubts, and when self-trust erodes, you naturally begin to seek external validation. Manipulators don't need to demand your loyalty when they can engineer your uncertainty. They just sit back and watch you defer to them again and again. This is where Stoic philosophy becomes not just helpful, but absolutely vital. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The essence of Stoicism teaches that while you can't always stop someone from trying to manipulate your reality, you have full authority over what you accept into your mind. Naval Ravikant framed it simply: the first step in silencing a strong mind is convincing it that it's broken. But you are not broken. You are under subtle psychological attack from someone who fears your independence because it highlights their own weakness. Think about it. Imagine working hard on a project, feeling proud, and someone casually says, "Well, you got lucky this time." It's just a comment, right? But it lingers. You start wondering if your success was real. Now imagine that happening week after week, month after month. If you don't recognize it for what it is, an intentional attempt to shrink you, it can hollow you out before you even realize you're fading. That's why protecting your mind isn't optional. It's survival. You don't need to argue back. You don't need to explain yourself endlessly. You need to stay fiercely connected to your own wins, your own values, your own voice. Write them down. Revisit them often. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strength, not your doubt. Confidence doesn't come from never being questioned. It comes from knowing who you are, even when the questioning gets loud. Have you ever caught yourself hesitating because of someone else's quiet doubt? Let's talk about it in the comments. Your story could help someone else reclaim their strength too. Number 7. They offer fake reconciliation. Sometimes when a manipulator realizes every tactic has failed, when guilt, lies, isolation, and intimidation no longer work, they reach for their final, most deceptive move: fake reconciliation. They won't come back with threats or demands. Instead, they return with softness, kind words, and apologies that almost sound poetic. They will say they've changed, that they've reflected, that they finally see everything you tried to tell them before. It feels genuine. It feels real after all the battles you fought. The part of you that still hopes for peace wants so badly to believe them, but underneath the tenderness lies the same hunger for control, just dressed up in new language. When someone who once drained you suddenly reappears offering apologies and promises, it's not always a sign of growth. Often it's a tactic, a strategic reset. They've realized brute force no longer works, so now they try charm. They mirror your healing, echo your language of self-awareness, even pretend to support your new boundaries, but only enough to slip back in. They study you, not because they want to understand you, but because they want to figure out how to breach your defenses. If you let them in too soon, you'll notice it. First, it's tiny, an offhand comment, a guilt trip cloaked in a compliment. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the old patterns creep back. Passive control, subtle manipulation. The cycle restarts smarter and more dangerous, because now they know exactly where your vulnerabilities lie. Psychologically, this tactic works because it exploits two powerful forces inside you: hope and empathy. It taps into your desire to believe that people can change, that hurt can be healed, that love or friendship can be restored. But Stoic wisdom teaches a harder, liberating truth. Epictetus said, "He who does not observe deceit is not truly wise." It's not cruel to see someone clearly, it's wisdom. Recognizing patterns is not judgmental, it's survival. Real change is not loud, it's consistent, patient, proven over time. A changed tone doesn't mean a changed heart. Think about how this looks in real life. Someone who once mocked your boundaries now quietly agrees to them, but then starts testing the edges when they think you're not paying attention. Someone who once guilted you for independence now smiles and says they support you, but finds small ways to make you question yourself again. If you aren't deeply grounded in your own clarity, you might mistake their new softness for sincerity. But what you're often seeing isn't transformation, it's strategy. This is why, in Stoic thought, forgiveness and wisdom must walk hand in hand. Forgive if you choose. Release the bitterness for your own peace, but never forget the patterns you have already witnessed. Her snake shedding its skin isn't turning into a butterfly, it's just growing larger. Wisdom isn't just in giving others second chances. It's in knowing when a second chance is really just the first mistake disguised differently. Protecting. Your peace sometimes means closing a door no matter how sweetly someone knocks. It means trusting your past experience enough to know you aren't imagining the harm. It means understanding that while words can be rehearsed, character cannot. Be faked indefinitely. You don't owe anyone endless access to your life just because they finally said the right things. Strength lies in believing what repeated actions have already told you. Walk forward stronger, eyes open, heart clear, mind unshaken. If you've stayed with me until now, understand this. You are already breaking free. When manipulators realize they can't control you, they throw everything they have left. Guilt, lies, isolation, fake apologies. They hope you'll slip, doubt yourself, shrink. But the fact that you're here listening, learning, sharpening your mind, means you are already steps ahead of their game. You're not just surviving their tricks, you're building something they fear the most, real, unshakable strength. A life they can't infiltrate, a mind they can't bend. Remember, their power only works if you hand it over. You don't owe anyone your peace, your loyalty, or your future just because they once knew how to twist your emotions. Your strength is yours alone. Your clarity is your defense. Your life belongs to no one but you. So stand up inside yourself. Protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. Keep choosing the harder path, the clearer path, the one that doesn't need approval to be right. Because every time you protect your boundaries without guilt, every time you trust your instincts without apology, you're winning a battle they never thought you'd even fight. If this message lit something inside you, if it reminded you of who you really are, then don't leave without hitting like, subscribing to the channel, and joining this movement. Stay close. We're building a different kind of strength here, the kind they'll never understand.